Miss Pumphrey, Tricky has become hugely fat, like a bloated sausage. Bloated sausage, swollen meat. His eyes are bloodshot and his tongue is lolling from his jaws. He was so tired, Mr. Harriet. He seemed to have no energy. I thought he must be suffering from malnutrition, so I have been giving him some extras between meals to build him up. Some malt and cod liver oil and a bowl of Horlicks at night to make him sleep. Nothing much, really. And did you cut down on the sweet things as I told you? Oh, I did for a bit, but he seemed to be weak. So I had to give him. He does love cream cakes and chocolates. I cannot refuse him. I looked down at the dog. Tricky's only fault was greed. He had never been refused food. He would eat meal at any hour of the day. Are you giving him plenty of exercise? Well, he has little walks with me, as you can see. But Hogden, the gardener, has been down with lumbago, so there has been no ring throwing lately. Lumbago is back pain. Now, I really mean this. If you don't cut his food down and give him more exercise, he's going to be really ill. You must harden your heart and give him a strict diet. I will, Mr. Harriet. I'm sure you're right. But it is so difficult, very difficult. Tricky had a whole wardrobe of tweed coats for the cold weather and a raincoat for the wet days. I thought it wouldn't take Miss Pumphrey long to call me. I was sure Tricky will get more ill. I got the call within a few days. Hello, Mr. Harriet. Tricky's eating nothing, not even his favorite dishes. Besides, he has bouts of vomiting. He spends all his time laying on a rug. He doesn't go for walks. I had made plans in advance. The only way was to get Tricky for the house for a period. Miss Pumphrey, Tricky needs to be hospitalized for about a fortnight to keep under observation. Fortnight, 2 weeks. What? Tricky would die if he doesn't see me every day. Tricky is very ill, and this is the only way to save him. When I marched out of the car, carrying the dog, the maid rushed in and out, bringing his day bed, night bed, favorite cushions, toys, breakfast, bowl, lunch, bowl, super bowl as I started to drive away. Miss Pumphrey, with a cry, threw some coats through the window. I looked in the mirror. Everybody were in tears. What a nice dog it was. Poor old lad, you haven't a kick in you, but I think I know a cure for you. At the surgery, the dogs moved on. Tricky lay down at the noisy pack with dull eyes. He laid motionless when put down on the carpet. The other dogs sniffed him for a few seconds and decided he was an uninteresting object. I made up a bed for him in a warm Lewis box next to the one where the other dogs slept. I kept an eye on him for 2 days, giving him no food but plenty of water. At the end of the second day, he started to show some interest in his surroundings, and on the third day, he began to make sounds when he heard the dogs in the yard. When I opened the door, Tricky trotted out. He was immediately surrounded by Joe, the greyhound, and his friends. After rolling him over and thoroughly inspecting Tricky, the dogs moved to the garden. Tricky followed them. Later that day, I was present at the feeding time. While Tristan poured the food into the bowls, there was the usual rush and sounds of high-speed eating. Every dog knew that if he fell behind, he would get less food. When they had finished, Tricky took a walk around the bowls, licking inside one or two. Means now he wanted to eat. Next day, an extra bowl was put out for him. From then on, his progress was rapid. He had no medical treatment of any, but all day he ran about with the dogs. He became an accepted member of the gang, a silly object among the crew, fighting like a tiger at mealtimes and hunting rats in old hen house at night. He never had such a time in his life. All the while, Miss Pumphrey waited anxiously, ringing a dozen times a day for the latest updates. I avoided the questions like whether His cushions were being turned regularly, or his correct coat worn according to the weather, but I was able to tell her that Tricky was out of danger and was convulsing rapidly. Convulsing, recovering. The word convulsing seemed to do something to Miss Pumphrey. She started to bring around fresh eggs, 2 dozen at a time, to build up Tricky's strength. For a happy period, my partners and I had 2 eggs each for the breakfast. But when the bottles of wine began to arrive, the real possibilities of the situation dawned upon the household. She sent the wine to enrich Tricky's blood. But now we would drink 2 glasses of wine before the meal. After that, Miss Pumphrey began sending the brandy. So for a few nights it was respectfully drunk. There were days of deep content, the days starting with the eggs, in the morning improved by the mead, wine, and finishing by the brandy. It was a temptation to keep Tricky on as a permanent guest. I wanted the eggs, wine, and brandy every day, but I knew Miss Pumphrey was suffering. After a fortnight, I had to phone her. I was so sad. Hello, Miss Pumphrey. Tricky has recovered. Please come and fetch him. Oh man, this is so sad. Yes. Oh, Mr. Harriet, do tell me the truth. Is he really better? Yes, he's fine. There's no need to get out of the car. I will go and fetch him. I walked into the garden. A mass of dogs was hurtling around the lawn, and their midst was the little golden figure of Trick. In 2 weeks, he had been transformed into a hard muscle animal. I carried him into the front of the house. I helped the chauffeur to bring out the beds, toys, cushions, coats, and balls, none of which had been used. Chauffeur, driver. As the car moved away, Miss Pumphrey leaned out of the window. Tears shone in her eyes. Her lips trembled. Oh, Mr. Harriet, how can I ever thank you? This is the triumph of surgery. Why did Miss Pumphrey say that it was a triumph of surgery, although Tricky did not have a surgery? Pumphrey called Tricky's recovery a triumph of surgery. It was because she was grateful for the medical care that James Harriet gave to Tricky. Miss Pumphrey may have used the word surgery to refer to all the different ways that James Harriet helped Tricky feel better. Please like and share the video and subscribe my channel for more videos like these.